I'm Renee Knight with Inside Unmanned Systems at the Denver Xponential AUVSI event in Denver. I'm here with Birch of OxTS. Thank you so much for stopping by, taking some time out of the busy conference schedule here.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Just want to talk a bit. So you're relatively new to this industry, so want to talk a bit about the company and kind of where you came from, kind of your background.
Yeah. So I'm from Oxford Technical Solutions. So we're based in Oxford. We're a localization company. We're most well known really for our inertial navigation systems, particularly in the automotive testing industry. So for 25 years, our INS technology has been used to validate, improve both vehicle dynamics and ADAS systems for vehicle manufacturers to check that the vehicles they have perform the way they should. But more broadly than that, our aim is basically to help the industry to navigate anywhere. So whether that's validating and testing a vehicle, whether that's mapping an area, or more relevant to Xponential is to actually navigate actively in new environments. That means position, orientation, dynamics in real time, where there's not really room for error, and you need to be able to do that at scale.
Very good. So talking about scale, so what do you see as the challenges for this particular industry to scaling?
So I think there's kind of two approaches that are being taken to achieving scale. The first is an approach where you start with quite high-grade sensors, maybe because your kind of wider system infrastructure isn't quite as mature or robust. So you're using higher-grade sensors to kind of compensate for that initially. You're going into harsh environments where your system will be used, a kind of representative environment. You're using high-grade sensors, and then you're going to try to basically shift the balance from high-grade sensors and hardware to better software as that develops. Now, there's a challenge there in terms of basically optimizing on cost and bringing that hardware down to a level that's practical and viable for mass deployment. So that's one challenge, is that kind of cost optimization. The second challenge we see on a different approach that's taken is sometimes to start with really cost optimized systems, but you need to then optimize the performance and reliability. So you're starting with systems that can't really operate in as many applicable areas as are needed, and you're trying to gradually build that up. There you've got quite a steep learning curve in some areas, depending on how complex your environment or the application you're trying to navigate within. And that can take a lot of investment as well to reach that level of scale where obviously you've got the cost base, but have you got the applicability that you can deploy widely in a lot of different environments for a lot of different use cases. So those are two different challenges. You see cost optimization and price reliability, performance reliability optimization.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, what do you see as the solutions to those two big challenges? So
the way we've kind of approached it, really, fundamentally we think we've got into the point where we have a mass volume product in the AV200, where we offer both the performance at the price that's needed for volume manufacture. But there's some other things around that. There's a wider portfolio that I think we do. So we have a portfolio that spans kind of an array of performance levels. So taking that first example, where you have where you're starting with high performance and cost optimizing, we have a range of INS sensors with different grades, and you can work your way down effectively as you're taking that balance. So you can start at the high grade sensor, maybe an RT3000, and bring that down into the AV200. But crucially, what's there is, and the key thing here is that you're all within one manufacturer. You're still with OxTS the whole way. So that means your data structures and things are the same the whole way through. You're not having to, if you take a high grade sensor from one manufacturer and then move down to the next one, there's a level of new integration that needs to be done, and a level of engineering which can cause delays and complications.
Sure.
A key thing by offering the full scale is that you can start up here, come down, and that switch along the way is much more simple. On the other side of what we do, I think we really think we've kind of optimized the cost base as well. So as an inertial navigation company, first and foremost, we are our core competency is in inertial measurement.
Sure.
So we make our own inertial units, so all of the accelerometers and gyros and things, we build our own IMUs. That means we understand effectively how each individual sensor works, and rather than effectively we can use slightly lower grade sensors, understand where those errors are, because the lower grade sensor kind of has more deviation.
Sure.
We can understand that deviation, model it, and still squeeze out top performance from them, which effectively means that you've got a lower cost base to operate from. So as a customer, effectively you can, when you're down to that bottom point, you're actually at each point along the curve, whether it's at the top end, the performance you're getting from that sensor is actually a better value than a lot of other competitors as well. So in terms of alternatives, you've got that cost-based performance. But on the lower end and moving up, it's quite. We've been doing this for 25 years, and to kind of navigate in more complex environments is difficult. And with OxTS solutions, what we've got is a navigation engine there that's kind of pre-built for you, and you can just get going. So rather than having to develop it yourself, and you can actually move yourself maybe months, maybe years up the curve quite simply by relying on our industry standard technology, rather than necessarily having to build it yourself. A key thing about it being inertial first is that actually that's environment agnostic. So inertial sensors are pretty much the only sensor in the world that doesn't rely on the environment it's in order to generate an update. There's accelerometers and gyroscopes. Because it's that environment agnostic, that gives you kind of complete flexibility to adapt and adjust depending on where the environment you want to do. Our navigation engine that we've built around that also allows whichever sensor is going to be relevant to your application to be integrated in. So most commonly that's GNSS. So you're outside, GNSS, you can use that. And you should always use it if it's there, but equally it's not always available, not always robust. So if you're outside in Denver and you've got big skyscrapers, you're going to get multipath, and that's going to affect the robustness of the accuracy of your system at that point. But then you might want to complement with that with LiDAR or a radar or a camera. And the generic aiding interface that we have basically allows you to take position, velocity, any update that's going to aid the navigation system and integrate that straight into the OxTS navigation system, navigation engine. So quite easy integration of sensor fusion sensors as well.
So having that flexibility in that sensor fusion is pretty critical, right?
Exactly. I think it's for us as well in terms of scale. It's the environments that these systems can be used in is broad and varied. And so it's important for us that we offer something that fundamentally is agnostic to the environment, but also is able to easily be customized by our customers or by us if they want us to do it, to make that system kind of optimized and tuned using the sensors and the aiding sources basically that make the most sense for them at that time. So if you're going into a cave where GNSS is not going to be available, you're using the sensors that are relevant, but equally in open skies or in downtown areas, you're using GNSS when it's available, but you're using your other sensors to kind of check and validate kind of what's happening. You know, if you get a rogue error, a multipath error from a GNSS, that you can use your IMU sensors, maybe some wheel speed from the vehicle, some LiDAR to check and filter out effectively bad updates for a much more robust system. Now, people can do that. It's possible to build that yourself. But in terms of development, if that's not kind of core piece of IP for your company, if you're trying to scale an autonomous system, kind of we want to be able to help.
Okay, very good, very good. So for people who are listening to this conversation or visiting your booth, what are some of the main, takeaways that you want them to go with about what you guys can offer? Yeah,
so I think the main thing for me is that you're on that path to production, whichever approach you're taking, the kind of the top down or the bottom up. I think there's something we can do to provide you a kind of support along that journey, however you might want to approach that. So what I would say is we're very keen to work with customers as we do that. So come talk to us about the challenges, and we'll kind of advise as best we can based on what we understand.
And so where can people find you during the show this week?
We are so on our website, OxTS.com, LinkedIn, all those usual things, but also booth 2148. Near the back, near the food, that's where we are.
Oh, that's a good spot.
Yeah,
location.
It turns out, yeah, indeed. So yeah, that's where we are.
Good, very good. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to chat. It was great talking with you and learning about what you guys are doing. So
thank you for having me.
Yeah, for more from the show, visit InsideUnmannedSystems.com.